So thank you everyone for coming to this transfer panel. We have a bunch of transfer students here. One of the nice things about UW ChemE is we do have a lot of transfer students. So I actually had to like turn people away from coming on this panel to make sure that there wouldn't be too many people on the panel. So you get to hear from some wonderful people. I'm going to have them all introduce themselves and say their name and what college or colleges they transferred from. And I didn't warn you about this, so feel free not to add on, but if you have anything about you that you think would be helpful for people to know, like other responsibilities or life experiences or identities that you have that you think you would want to speak to, please mention that as well. But of course, don't share anything that you're not comfortable with. Let's start with Kaleb. Can you introduce yourself? And then we'll just, I don't know, everybody can just like pick the next person or we can go around or.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everybody. I'm Kaleb. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a senior in the chemical engineering department. Currently, I am the president of Student AKEY, American Institute of Chemical Engineers, and it is nice to meet you all. Did I miss something? I feel like I missed something.
Which college did you transfer from?
Oh, transferred from, it's now Edmonds College, but previously it was Edmonds Community College.
Great.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. My name is Aldi. I go by he, him pronouns. I transferred from Chapman University. It was a private school in the city of Orange in Orange County, California. Yeah, that was it, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Vanny. I use she, her pronouns, and I transferred from Highline College in Des Moines, so south of Seattle. I think that's it.
Okay, great. And then we lost one of our panelists. I think her internet must have gone. So we'll interrupt our regular scheduled program when she comes back and introduce her as well. So, oh, I had all the questions up and then I got distracted. 1 second, let me pull them up. Could each of you tell us a little bit about your process for transferring, kind of like deciding to do ChemE and what it was like to transfer as a starting point?
For sure. Do we just want to go in the same order that we had?
That might make it easier.
Yeah. Great. So I'll start. So I transferred into ChemE in the spring 2020. I don't remember anymore. It feels like forever ago, but at the same time, it feels like it just happened.
Well, here's a question. Did you come for in-person transfer orientation?
No.
Was there an in-person, but you're a senior, so there must have been one.
In-person transfer orientation.
We had like a 1-day transfer orientation and then like the next day everything got canceled. Anyway, I think it was 2020. I think you're right.
I don't remember. But my circumstances, I guess were a little bit different in the sense that I didn't transfer directly into chemical engineering. I started transferring first into UW because what had happened is I didn't want to stay at Edmonds College because I had to do a whole bunch of prerequisite classes to finish up certain other prerequisite classes. So it was layer upon layer of classes. So I transferred to UW first, finished up those classes, and then applied to chemical engineering. And then, yeah, that was kind of my process.
Great, thanks.
So my process to coming to UW Chemical Engineering, I started undergrad as a biochemistry major at Chapman University. I realized pretty quickly I was not interested in biology, so I switched to chemistry, and then I found myself really interested in chemistry and math. And as far as like the engineering part, I really wanted to see like overlap and interdisciplinary sort of work between sciences rather than studying sort of chemistry and math as individual disciplines. So made chemical engineering a really good fit for me. And I transferred the same way as Kaleb, actually, where I was a pre-science major at UW before I ended up applying to ChemE as a UW student. So.
Great.
Yes, hi. So I actually got that experience of transferring directly into ChemE. The experience was definitely stressful. I came in spring of 2021, so just this past spring, when everything was online. That was orientation was online, and welcome meeting was online. Everything was just in front of the camera, except for the application process itself. So that was definitely concerning. I thought when I was first applying, it was on paper, and I was like, really? Like, am I reading the right thing? But sure enough, it was on paper. I had to fill out the application, type up my essay, print it out, and send it via FedEx with my check. So it was like very traditional application process. And then when
I'm going to interrupt you really quickly to say that process has very excitingly changed, and this year you can apply online. Woo!
Yay! Oh, you guys miss out. So, but after that, it was really interesting because I had heard from the ChemE department that I was accepted before I heard from the UW themselves, and I was like, not sure if it was real or not, especially with me being the first gen college student in my whole family, not having any guidance and not really knowing what to expect. I just kind of waited until I got more communications, and it was good. I've always been interested in math and chemistry. I love that math always has like one right answer with the occasional ambiguity. But then I always loved engineering and problem solving. So this just was a natural path for me. I'm in the airline industry already, so I want to get involved with more sustainable fuel, especially jet fuel and things like that. The hardest part about transferring was being vulnerable and telling my story, letting others in and putting that on paper, and then also having others proofread it. I felt like, no, it's good enough, but I gave in and took people's help, and they gave some really great advice. And I feel like that was definitely a factor and a big help of how it became successful and I got into the program.
Great, thank you.
Hello, my name is Ikra, and I transferred from Green River College, which and initially I was in the Running Start program before I knew I wanted to do chemical engineering. It was probably by the time the second year of my undergraduate that I said, oh yeah, chemical engineering seems nice, because there was like a lot of math and physics, which I liked. And what's the one thing that's hard about transferring is that you have so many documents that you need to turn in. Like, you have the transcripts from your college. There's also another transcript from your high school that's for the general application. And as well, as Vanny said, on paper, which I think it's nice that, Nicole, that you said it changed to completely online, because never in my life have I printed out something and filled it out and then put it in the mail. And then,
I know, we've been trying to fix that for years, so I'm thrilled.
yeah, and it was like I had to do like a 1 week before, because I don't know how my mail, like how long it takes to send from Kent to Seattle. So, but yeah, and then something I've been able to do in what's called UW is get involved with a lot of stuff. Like right now I'm with the DI committee and what's called CHAC, which I'm doing next quarter for the first 2 weeks. And as well, the Society of Women Engineering, like a major chair. So like my whole job, I think Hannah's also in there too, right? Yeah, I saw your name in the chemical engineering. I was like, oh, I know. But yeah. And what's
That's
for
great.
advice? Sorry.
No, we'll come back around
Oh.
to the advice, I think.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys. So my name is Hannah, and so my journey to figure out I want to be a chemical engineer is actually quite long compared to others. So I was 2 years in med school before coming to the US, and then I couldn't see myself long term in like working in a hospital and then be like a doctor and stuff. So I dropped out med school and then come to the US, and like I work and study and save money for the college, and then I try to like gain as much experience as I could before I get to UW. I didn't like want to be I didn't want to apply to UW at first, but then when I heard about the chemical engineering program at UW, and I know that they have the small class size, and it's only 7 people got accepted, like around that number got accepted every year. I was like, I really like it because I want to be in a small community so that I can know everyone. I can like interact and then like communicate well with like all of my classmates. Yeah. So that I applied to chemical engineering at UW, and I feel like I have the feeling that's the best decision that I ever make, because like all the professor and people in the chemical engineering department is very nice and very helpful. Yeah. But then the hardest part about like transferring to UW was, I think people all like already mentioned before, is like the application, like the paper application. I was so freaked out because they didn't send me the net ID. Like they didn't send me the net ID like until a week before the deadline. You know, like when you send a paper application to UW, and then they will send you the net ID so that you can create an account, and then you can apply for the ChemE department, right? But I only have like 1 week or like less than 1 week to do that. I was so freaked out, and I tried to like email the international office to like talk about that, like transfer office something to talk about that. And yeah, like it turned out not too bad, but yeah, but that's it, like the part that I worry the most. And then the other challenge for me is writing a good personal statement so that I can make myself outstanding compared to other applicants, right? But when I have my personal statement, I feel like my story is not good enough. I always feel like my story is not good enough. It's not very like fascinating enough compared to other, because like people know like what they want and what they really passionate about, but I actually don't. For me, I want more about experience. I want to be like involved in different areas so that I can know which one suit me the most. That's my like intention, purpose right now. And yeah, and then but it turned out I got accepted by UW like after the lunar year, like the Lunar New Year, which is great. I was like, because like I live with roommate, right? And it's like around 12 p.m. Like my roommate is having a meeting or something, but then I got like an accepted email from chemical engineering department. I was screaming so bad. And the professor and then the professor of my roommate, it was like, what's wrong with you, that girl? You should check on her. Something like that. I was like, it was so funny, but yeah, I just like so happy at that time. Yeah, and then when I got into UW, I started at spring 2021, so last spring. And I tried to apply for job and then research. So far, right now, I'm a chemistry tutor at CLU and also chemical engineering major chair for SWE. And also last summer, I was in professor value like Stephanie first research lab. And then this quarter, I'm currently participate in Professor Posner lab, research lab. And yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So, which is great. I have like so many good experience with like grad student, and then I can talk to like a lot of like professor in the department. So I'm very happy about that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we had some people answer some of the questions and some people didn't. Some of the like additional questions. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna do just like one question at a time. And if you feel like you've already answered it, you can either offer a different hard thing you didn't already talk about, or you can pass and we'll come back. So what was the hardest thing about transferring? And this can be something that was about the application process, or it can be something about after you transferred and like that first quarter at UW. Kaleb, we'll go around in the same order again.
Sounds good. So for me, the hardest thing about transferring was there are two things I would say. First of all, I actually live pretty close to where Edmonds College is. Driving, it's probably about 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes on a bad day, which is very different than my commute now. No, now I have to commute, I think today was 40 minutes there and back to UW. And so that added commute time was actually a burden that I wasn't expecting. It's definitely something that I had to take into account and kind of adapt and learn how to either be productive on the bus or budget my time better so I'm not arriving too late to home, or make sure I arrive to school on time and that sort of thing. So commuting was a different challenge than I wasn't ready for, but I since then figured it out, which it didn't take too long, but it was definitely an adjustment. And the other thing is I felt like at community college, there were a lot less, I guess you could say, rules and things that you have to get done by a certain amount of time. Because when I transferred from community college, I came in with lots of credits. In fact, more credits than what is considered satisfactory progress. And so UW was actually saying, oh, you need to fill out a paper, or you need to join a major, or you can't keep taking classes. And I was really confused by that. And so understanding that there's a lot more things that need to be, a lot more checkboxes that need to be checked before things can get rolling is something to be aware of and to be flexible for. Understanding that it's okay that not everything is as smooth as we would like it to be, and we're not as close with the administration as we might have been at community college, but that's okay. And I was able to figure it out step by step, and took it slow, talked with advisors and everything to make sure that all got figured out.
Cool. I'm glad you said that, because advisors at UW do different work than advisors at a lot of the community colleges. And so we're resources for like a lot more different things than, basically you can come to an advisor with like anything. If you're like, I'm not sure where to get help for this, go to an advisor and we'll help you get to the right place. Okay.
For my like most difficult thing about transferring, I feel like as basic as this is, like I really missed my friends from my old university. Like, I don't know, we were so close, and I think we were all coming into college as freshmen. So there were a lot more like events, and especially because I transferred to UW online, it's pretty hard to meet people in classes that way. Like all my classes, everyone had their cameras off and Zoom, and so that was a pretty difficult thing. But especially with coming back in the fall, and I almost didn't believe this when people were telling me this in spring, but like you really do need friends in this major, and you need to talk to people and just be able to work through problems together, both like in classes and like personal stuff. You can always talk with someone about that. So yeah, initially the most difficult thing for me was definitely the social aspect of coming to a new school in a pandemic without knowing many people. So
Yes. Hardest part about transferring for me was more personal. It came down to truly believing in myself and giving myself that credibility that I am good enough to go and apply even. And I was definitely like self-conscious about my background and how I was going up against probably students that have way better grades than I do and that are like super sharp and really know exactly what they want to do. And then I also had reservations about my timeline because it took me 10 years to get to the point of being ready to transfer to an actual major because I had a lot of life events in between. I also started working right out of high school. I didn't know what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. I tried school with no interests, and that was not a good idea because I was not motivated or inspired. So I really had a hard time believing in myself and telling myself that I am good enough to even apply. I put it off a lot because I was scared, and it just came to a point where I really had to get it done because it was something that I really needed to do. And it came down to asking Nicole to help proofread my personal statement like 2 days before the last day I could mail it out. So for me, it was really much more personal than technical. And I think that's definitely a challenge if you're a busy person, you have work, you have a lot of priorities. People say, oh, you just need to prioritize, but it's very hard to do when you have 3 high priorities. I mean, you've got school, kids, and work. Which do you choose? And sleep too. You've got to find time to sleep as well. So that was the hardest part about transferring for me, is just getting that confidence to actually submit that application and feel like, okay, I am good enough. And we'll just see what happens. I really was scared that that was going to be the end for me if I didn't get in. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I spent all this time, 10 years getting to this point. But thank goodness, I was privileged enough to be selected. Nicole helped me. I had a lot of peers give me that confidence that I needed. And I would say just get it done and allow others to read your personal statement, and definitely look for errors and proofread, because even after I mailed it, I found like 1 or 2 and I was like, gosh darn it. And it's by paper, so I can't get it back. That was the hardest thing for me.
So the hardest thing for me was how many stuff is going on in school, like research opportunities, clubs, being a major chair, so much stuff to choose from. And for me, I'm kind of like indecisive. So, and also the credit load. Like right now I'm taking 13 credits, which is like 4 classes. And just that is too much, not too much for me because I'm also like it's before when I was at Green River, I would take 16 credits because I had like a chem class, a calc class, and a physics class, and that was okay. Like I was normal, like I was okay with that. But now for 13 credits, and especially with the classes, and they're 5 days a week, and some of them are 3 credits or 4 credits, I'm like, how is that even possible? It should be 5 credits or something. But I think adjusting to that kind of credit load, so as well as FOMO, having so much stuff, so many interests. So yeah.
Thanks, Ikra.
Yeah, I think the hardest part about transferring for me is try to accept that your grade is not gonna be as good as when you was in community college. Because like when I was in community college, my grades like really good, and I like exam stuff, like usually I got like above 90%. But then when I first started the first ChemE like the first ChemE exam, like 310. I got the first exam, I got like 70 something. I mean, it's still above average, but it's way like way different from like the highest. I was like, what I'm doing? Like, why? Like, I mean, like I study, but then why my grade still like not as I expect, you know? So it's the whole like it's like the whole quarter for me to like try to balance myself, try to like convince myself that you're doing great. It's just like how it is, because like university is not gonna be the same as community college. You can't get like good grade every time. And then like for now, I'm kind of accept that fact. So I'm not gonna be upset anymore, but I'm still trying to like find a better, like a better like sturdy strategy to like improve like how I absorb the knowledge in the class. Yeah. And then also another hardest part is like time management. Because like before in community college, I take in like 18 credit and I work like 3 jobs at the same time. So I barely have time to sleep. But then for here, I'm still like working around like 30 hours per week and then like have 4 classes at the same time. Sometimes I just feel very like overload. That's why I have like kind of like sometimes I have kind of like I was like very stressed. But thankfully like we have all the classmates. I have like my friends in my study group. They're just very helpful, and then we can study together, cry together. Yeah, and then some people they have time so they can go to office hour and then like pass out the information that they got from office hour, which is very helpful. I'm thankful that we can be in chemical engineering, like we can be on in the same major and then work together in that small community. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So for our next question, some of you have already talked about cool things that you've been able to do at UW and how you got involved with it. But we can talk about that, or you can talk about something that you really like about UW. So you can pick.
Yeah, so I'll talk about 2 things pretty briefly. First, I'm involved in AICHE, American Institute of Chemical Engineers. Actually at this point, it's an international organization that brings chemical engineers together on both a professional, educational, and as well as a networking level. And there's several conferences that happen around the country and around the world that help us as chemical engineers to be more involved with the current research that is happening and with really cool opportunities. And so as president of our student chapter, I have the opportunity to coordinate with several different groups and talk with those groups about helping our students, as well as coordinating different social and professional events that happen here in our department. Apart from that, I actually work in the Nance lab here in the chemical engineering department. I have the opportunity to do research, undergraduate research under Dr. Nance. And in that research, I do computational based image analysis of brain cells. And I could go on and on about that, but to keep it short, the way that I got into that, I had the opportunity when Professor Nance came into one of my classes and gave a guest lecture about her work. And so at that moment, I was already looking for a research lab. I knew that it was something that I wanted to pursue. And so I saw the opportunity and I went and spoke with her about it. And little by little, she kind of figured out that I wanted to join a research lab. And she said, oh, well, you should send in an application and we'll see what happens. And so I think my advice on that side would be, if you see an opportunity, even if you just have like a spark of, oh, I need to go say something, the professors here in the department they really pick up on that and they really can see your interest. And if you show just a spark of interest, they'll just open up to you. So make sure to reach out to the professors if you get a chance to meet them.
Cool.
I'll go next. So I think the coolest thing that I've done at this university has definitely been research, undergraduate research as well. I'll give like a quick little story, but my OChem professor from my old university, he was a computational chemist, a really cool guy. And I wanted to join his lab because I thought computational chemistry was super cool, but it was full at the time. And then I transferred and I looked through the UW ChemE faculty and I found Dr. Velo's research, which is kind of computational chemistry with data analysis type of focus. And so I just sent her an email in the spring and was able to get involved. And it's been a really gratifying experience being able to speak with graduate students as well as working with professor in a setting that's different from class has been really interesting, and just learning like every single thing that I've done so far. I've learned a lot, and it can be kind of daunting when you think about the jump from sort of classes to research, but it's a great experience. And so if you have any sort of interest in any of the fields, you can look at like the faculty website, and all of the professors who are interested in having undergraduate researches, you can contact them for that. So
Great.
Hello. So for me, things are a little more simple. I mean, I have not had the honor of taking classes in person, unfortunately. So the coolest thing for me, being the first person in my family to go to college at all, was actually being on campus and getting a tour of the campus and finding out where the classes were. The whole area is so overwhelming. The buildings are big and beautiful. So that was the coolest thing, seeing the fountain for the first time. I didn't know that was there, so that was nice. And then secondly, it would probably be this panel. I haven't really had a chance to spend much time with activities and events with my cohort. So this is really like my first time actually being face-to-face with this many people outside of Zoom classes. So yeah, it's really, it's not just the experiences and the professional aspect of things, but really taking in the culture and experiencing college life. I think I'm like past sorority life and such, but I can still make friends, and I'm hoping I can make more. I don't have any one person that I turn to, but what's really awesome is when you're in a class and you need help, if you reach out to one person individually, they are so willing to help. I'm not that type of person that can keep up with large groups, especially like our Discord channel. I cannot keep up with that. I very rarely understand what we're talking about because there's so much happening at the same time. But if there's a particular person that I see and I'm like, oh, it sounds like this person really understands what's going on, I have been able to reach out to them individually and just get that one-on-one help that I probably do best with. So that's what's really cool for me, and how I've been getting involved, and hopefully I can build stronger relationships. But I'll probably have stronger relationships with the incoming spring cohort because I am 1 year behind. So I started in spring of 2021, but due to personal obligations, I will be, taking the time that I need, and taking the time not just to learn what I need to without being stressed out, but enjoy the experience that I have, and hopefully build a strong relationship with my cohort to where, we'll see each other in conferences and do great things. So I feel like that just the whole thing is really cool.
Great.
For me, what I have been involved with is a lot of leadership roles, which I never did at my last community college because I was only doing research in the summer, and then there's like clubs. But this is the first time I'm actually like in a high position, so that's really nice. Another thing is how much so many opportunities from Nicole and Dave with the internships, and a lot of companies. Like I'm really interested in the semiconductor field as well as like energy, and there's like so many. Like if you're here like at UW, you don't even have to worry about like finding stuff yourself. Like they already email you every week. And so yeah, a lot of stuff. And about research, I might do that next year or next quarter, depending on if I have like enough credits, because I'm also a commuter student as well. Like I take the train and then also drive. So yeah, a lot of opportunities here. You won't miss anything. You'll see all the emails and updates and the Canvas. Make sure to utilize the ChemE undergraduate Canvas page. So yeah.
Right. It's really great for me to hear about like what you guys involve and like how much you love it. So for me, I think the coolest thing I have so far is like being a chemistry tutor for Clue, so that I can help like a lot of students. Even though I didn't have like I didn't take like the whole Gen Chem series or the whole old Chem series here, but I still can feel like the connection, and they also very cooperate in when I like teaching them. Like they show me like enough respect, and then also they try to they like me, like even I or the student try to like change the learning style or teaching style so that we can like understand or catch up with each other. Sometimes, you know, like it's really hard for me to explain like one concept, but the students still like very patient, and then like just like be very understandable. Yeah, and it's really like helped me a lot and build up my confidence and my teaching skill. And another thing that I really like about UW in general and our department specifically is like how the professor care about our student. So like for me, I didn't know like which area I want to be involved with. So I just like go on the faculty list of chemical engineering department and then read every single person research lab. And then I email each of them. I email the one that I want to be participate in that lab. So I remember during the summer, I emailed like, I think 5 or 6 professor and asking for undergraduate research opportunity. And I got into Professor Stephanie Value lab. It was a great time for me. Like I think we have Ali and the team, and then me and him have opportunity to work together and then have a small presentation, which I really like appreciate the time. And then we also have the group outing so that we can meet each other offline, not like through the screen, and then also like get to know each other more. But then after 3 months, I feel like I'm not really good at like working like coding and then working with the computer. So I just add Professor Value that I just talk to her and then try to like and then that I don't feel like it's a good path for me, and I'm not really interested enough to be in the lab for like another year. So I just quit the lab and then try to find another research lab. And I'm really happy with the research lab I participate right now, which is from Professor Jonathan Posner. He's a really like nice guy. And then we are currently I'm currently like testing the blood sample of HIV patient, and I learned a lot of like biology fundamental, and then about a lot about like clinical sample stuff, like how to handle them, which I really like, was very like I really love that moment. Yeah. I think that is what I involved so far for chemical engineering major chair at SWE. It's just only like a month for me, so it's totally fresh. So I'm kind of looking forward for next quarter, that so that we can have a lot of opportunity to talk to freshmen or sophomore student, and then give them advice for if they ever interested in become a chemical engineer.
Awesome. Thank you. I want to have some time in case any of the people who have joined us want to ask questions. You can either put them in the chat or you can unmute and ask a question. And if we don't get questions right away, I'll ask more questions, but I want to make space for that. Okay, while people think of their questions, we're going to do a lightning round. So really fast, like 1 or 2 sentences. What advice would you give to transfer students about either the application process or the coming to UW or whatever? 1 to 2 sentences.
Super duper quick, and I will never stop saying this. Talk to the advisors, talk to the advisors, talk to the advisors. Nicole and Dave and any other advisors there are excellent. They will help you in pretty much anything you could ever ask for, even to the point yeah, I'll leave it at that. Talk to the advisors.
Thank you.
For my essay, I remember I sort of thought a lot about what I could offer the program as a student and what the program could offer me. And so just be sincere and follow through on the interests that you state in your essay as well too. So.
I would say start everything early. Don't wait until the weekends. Start thinking about what you want to put in your essay, how you want to tell your story, and definitely allow others to read what it is that you have, because their feedback, and find different people to do it too, because their feedback is very valuable, and perception is key.
Are you in
I would say one advice is to make sure you know why you're going to University of Washington. Like, what are the reasons? Like, you want to do research or do clubs and other stuff? Because like there's only 2 universities in Washington State that do chemical engineering. So it's kind of like you have to prove why you want to go to UW versus going to any other college. So yeah, and make sure to start the application early as well, because that was a lot. Like there's so much paperwork, and but now since it's online, it's really good.
Okay, my advice is gonna be if you're in chemical engineering department, and I know that the advisor and other professor will give you a lot of opportunity for you to involve in something, but it's about you to take that opportunity. So you have to be more active. You have to like reach out to people and do not hesitate to ask questions. Like just like if you want to involve in the lab research or in multiple lab research, just send them an email and then like say like what your purpose, what is your goal in the future, and what's your intention when you go on when you want to do like research lab. So the change is yours. You have to like do it and take it. Like no one can do it for you. Yeah.
Great. Did anyone think of any questions? Okay, you can still add questions, but I'm going to now do some questions with hand raising, so we can just get like a sense of the group a little bit. Just things that are really common with transfer students. So I'm curious, well, with everybody, but just I think it's common to feel kind of alone. So how many of you worried before you applied that you weren't good enough for UW ChemE? Cool. And how many of you worried after you got into the program that you weren't good enough for UW ChemE? And how many of you are definitely great in UW ChemE and we love to have you? All hands up. Yeah. How many of you knew before applying to UW exactly the area you wanted to work in ChemE? Yeah, there's a lot of range. If we were in a room, I'd have you like running around the room so we could like see the range, but let's see, how many of you, let's see, feel free to add any if you think of any while you How many of you are thinking of going to grad school? Cool. That's surprising because our graduation rate, it's more like 85% go straight into industry and 15% go to grad school. But usually the people who want to go to grad school can. So I'm not saying you can't. It's just like interesting how we selected here in terms of who was interested. Let's see. Maybe we could do 2 more lightning rounds where people can talk about their favorite place to study and the thing they have the most trouble with on Zoom, even after 2 years of us all using Zoom constantly. And then if there are no other questions, we'll just say thank you for joining us and have a good night. Okay, so lightning round, favorite place to study, ready, go. Kaleb, you're first, you gotta.
My favorite place to study, probably I'm actually a really big fan of using the computer lab because that's where I can collaborate with my friends a lot. But I still use Zoom a lot. In fact, I think I have one scheduled for tomorrow night of Zooming with friends to study together. That or the blue room on the 2nd floor.
Cool.
I like to study with people in Benson. I really like the undergraduate lounge. I'm here right now, but if I want to like really study and focus and get work done, I actually like to study in my apartment, like alone, because it's quiet. So
Can you give us a quick tour of the
Oh, sure.
undergrad lounge? Just like,
okay,
hello.
well, here there's a big whiteboard, and then I'm at the table. That's Cecilia and Johnny, and then there's some
Nice. Thank you.
I like to study in any library.
Excellent. Ikra?
I like to study the 4th floor of Suzello and Allen. That's really nice and quiet. And yeah, sometimes I go to Benson to do homework. So
Great. Benson, for those of you who don't know, Benson is our chemical engineering building on campus. And
Yes.
Hannah.
Yeah, for me, I usually stop at Benson to study with my friend, and then I have lunch there in the undergrad lounge. I really love it because we have like all the sofa, so it's very like I just like after class I just go there and then sit on the sofa and it's like, oh, that's so comfortable. I don't really want to do a homework anymore. But yeah, I mean Benson, I usually sit on the in the undergrad lounge or like computer lab or just on the lobby.
Are you in the computer lab right now?
Yes, I am.
Cool.
I was doing the homework earlier and then I just like go out of it.
Nice. Okay, and then I had one other goofy question, which now I already can't remember. Who remembers what my second goofy question was, or should we just sign off?
Yeah, I cannot remember. I'm sorry.
It has been a week. It's the almost end of the quarter. Yeah. I want to thank you all so much for being on our panel. And I want to thank the people who joined us for joining us. Next Thursday at this exact same time, we're having, it'll be me and Carlos from admissions, who is really experienced with transfer admissions, answering questions about how to apply, answering like, okay, I got to here on my application. What do I do with this? How do I deal with my transcripts? All of those questions on Zoom. The link is on our ChemE website and also probably wherever you found the link today. But thank you. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you all for being so wonderful. And I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. It's great to meet like all here today.